We've now got our campaign instance available inside of our onSubmit function. So all we have to do now is get a list of our accounts and call the contribute function on our campaign. Remember that anytime we want to call a function, we're going to wrap it in a try-catch statement to make sure that we handle any error message appropriately. So I'm going to place my try block and my catch block and make sure I receive that error argument to the catch. Then inside the try statement right here, we'll get a list of our accounts. Remember that we get a list of accounts from the Web3 module, and we have not yet imported that into this file. So at the top, I'm going to import Web3 from up1 directory, Ethereum Web3, like so. Then back down inside of onSubmit, I'll say const accounts is await web3.eth.get accounts, like so. We're using the await keyword right here, so we do need to mark this function as being async. So make sure that right before the event argument, we place the async keyword right here. Then, after we get our list of accounts, we can take our campaign contract and call the contribute function on it. One quick reminder here, because we have not looked at that contract in a while. So here's the campaign contract right here. We've got the contribute function. It takes no arguments whatsoever. So we don't need to worry about providing any arguments. All right, so right after we get our list of accounts, we'll do await campaign.methods.contribute, and then we'll send in our transaction object. This is of course going to be a send because we're trying to send some money from one account to another. We'll first specify the account that we want to use. So that's going to be accounts at 0, and then we'll specify the value. Now we've recorded the value of the contribution inside of our this.state.value property, but there's one big gotcha here. Remember that we are marking our form as saying enter the amount of Ethereum or Ether that you want to contribute to the campaign. So this value property right here is going to be entered by our users in units of Ether. However, whenever we call send right here, we have to specify units of Wei. So we have to take our this.state.value property and convert that to Wei. And we can do so by using the Web3 module as usual. So I'll say web3.utils.toWei. I'll pass in this.state.value. And then we need to make sure that we mark the units that this argument right here is being provided in. So we are giving this.state.value in terms of Ether, and we want that to be converted over to Wei. All right, so this is all we should really need to do a contribution to our campaign. So let's save this file, and I think we'll do a test right now, and we'll figure out whether or not this is behaving the way we expect. So I'm going to go back over to my browser, and I'm going to make sure that I do a hard refresh over here. Okay, so I'm going to refresh the page entirely. As I've mentioned many times, sometimes the hot module reload doesn't quite work the way we expect. Okay, so now one thing I want to mention about testing this contribution function right here, remember that you and I have a very limited supply of Ether to work with. So right now I'm down to 20.933. So when we start testing out this functionality, I don't really want to put in 1 Ether, right? Because I essentially have a limited amount to spend, even in testing. So whenever I start contributing to this contract, rather than specifying like 1 or 2 or 3 or definitely not 10, I'm going to do something like 0.001. So I can test this contract quite a bit without having to worry about running out of Ether. So I'll hit contribute now, and we should see our MetaMask confirmation appear. One thing to keep in mind is that you absolutely positively got to make sure that you are currently on your Rinkeby test network. And the other thing to keep in mind is that between our last test of MetaMask and now, your MetaMask account might have been locked. So do make sure that you pop up this little window right here, right? And make sure that you are not at this screen. So if you're at this screen, remember to unlock. All right, so I think that the fact that we see this notification appear over here is definitely a good sign. I'm going to try submitting this transaction, and then we'll just wait for a little bit, 15 seconds or whatever, and then we'll refresh this page and expect to see our campaign balance and our number of approvers increment as well. So let's take a pause right now. We'll come back in about 15 seconds and we'll make sure that these numbers eventually get updated.